Very warm welcome to our biology class. I hope so. This time the revision of NCERT book is helping you a lot to understand what are all the points are mentioned in the NCERT book. In our previous class, we have understood regarding events involved in the sexual reproduction. And today we are going to understand regarding male reproductive system. Students, whatever the male reproductive system is there, which is included one pair of testes and accessory ducts are there. Different accessory ducts are belonging into this, and there are different accessory glands are also there, as well as external male genitalia is there. So these are all the things which were involving in the male reproductive system. Sometimes they may ask you the question, what are the parts involving in the male reproductive system? So you should remember that all these are the parts involving in the male reproductive system. Then first we will discuss about the testes here. Students, whatever the testes are there, these are located in the scrotum, the skin-like pouch present outside the body. This is called as an scrotum. But one thing everyone should have to understand this, testes are not going to be developed in the scrotal sac itself, but they are actually getting originated in the abdominal cavity, and then just before the delivery they are descending into the scrotal sac through the inguinal canal. So this is what the canal name you should remember. Now the question arises, sir, why the testes are descending from the abdominal cavity to the scrotum then? The answer for that, because they need to maintain lower temperature than the body temperature. How much lower it is? 2 to 2.5 degree lower than the normal body temperature they need to maintain. What is the necessary of maintaining the lower temperature in the scrotum then? Because it is very much necessary to the spermatogenesis. If the lower temperature is not there, then the spermatogenesis won't take place properly in male. Because of that, the testes are located in the scrotal sac, and even they are properly maintaining the temperature there. Suppose, for example, if your body temperature slightly raised, if you are suffering with a fever, by that time testes are actually moving away from your scrotum. Moving then? They are moving because the certain muscles which were there in the wall of a scrotal sac as well as spermatic cord, they are becoming loose. That's what you must have to remember. And if you observe in case of the human being, students, testes, once they descend into the scrotal sac, they are never going to be ascend back into the abdominal cavity. They remains inside the scrotal sac only. How it is possible? It is possible because once the testes are descended into the scrotal sac, they are getting attached to the wall of scrotal sac with the help of the certain ligament, that ligament called as an gubernaculum. You must have to remember the word gubernaculum. Now, here we have seen spermatogenesis requires a lower temperature, about 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius lower than the normal body temperature. Then they ask you the question, what exactly the temperature required for the spermatogenesis? It is 35 degrees Celsius. Yeah, because normal body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. If you minus 2 degrees Celsius in that, then it is about 35 degrees Celsius. You must have to remember the spermatogenesis required 35 degrees Celsius temperature. And there are certain other physical factors of testes are given. Testes are oval in shape and they have a length of 4 to 5 centimeter and they have a width of 2 to 3 centimeter. Sometime they may ask you these unit, students. You must remember what is the length and what is the width of the testes mentioned in the NCERT book, because sometime they may ask you statement based questions. In that statement based questions, they are going to ask you that testis is 4 to 5 centimeter long and 2 to 3 centimeter width, then that statement will be the right statement. Then whatever the testes are there, students, they're covered by the dense connective tissues. Many other tissues are the protective layers are there, tunica vaginalis, tunica albuginea, tunica vasculosa. All those three layers are there. Detail about all those three layers I have discussed in one of my video. You can even observe that video properly to understand all the internal structure of the testis. And whatever the tunica albuginea is there, students, that tunica albuginea is the one which is get intercepted inside the testis and leads into the compartmentalization of testis. How many compartments are going to be formed then? Each testis have a compartment about 250, and those compartments are called as testicular lobules. Now sometime they may ask you question, what many number of testicular lobules are there in the testes? If they are asking, then your answer must be 500, because they are given the data here about the single testis, one testis. In one testis 250 compartments are there. Those compartments are called as a testicular lobule. Then both together, what many number of the testicular lobules will find then? About 500. That's what you must have to remember, students, right? So then whatever compartments are there in each testis, students, in that compartment we used to find the presence of highly coiled 1 to 3 seminiferous tubules are there, and in which only sperms are actually going to produce. Suppose, for example, here this is the testis. Inside it, compartments are there. You can even observe here. This is what one compartment. This is another compartment. This is the third compartment. Like that, many other compartments are there. And inside this compartment, we used to find that very highly coiled tubules. Those highly coiled tubules are called as an seminiferous tubules. Now, what you need to remember, students, inside these seminiferous tubules only sperms are going to get produced. To understand the testis in a proper way, we need to take a section of this testis. If you take the cross section of this testis from here, suppose, how we'll find under the microscope then this? We'll find that these are the seminiferous tubules. And this is the another one more seminiferous tubule. This is the another seminiferous tubules. This is the one more seminiferous tubules. Many seminiferous tubules you are observing. And in between the seminiferous tubules, whatever this space is there, this space is called as an interstitial space, right? And in this interstitial space, we used to find the presence of interstitial cells. And inside the seminiferous tubule, students, we used to find two important cells. Those cells are known as the germinal epithelial cells, and even those are called as spermatogonia. And in addition to that, there are the Sertoli cells are there. These are the two cells which were lined inside the seminiferous tubules. Sometime they may ask you the question, name the cells lined inside to the seminiferous tubules. You must remember these two cells name. Male germ cells are there, means the spermatogonias are there, and Sertoli cells are there. But you must remember, students, whatever the germ cells are there, these are only the cells which were dividing by the meiosis. And whatever this Sertoli cell is there, students, it is acting as an nourishment cells. Means it is providing the nutrition to all the germ cells during their entire process of division, during the sperm formation. Then whatever the region is there in between the seminiferous tubule, students, that entire region is filled with the help of the interstitial tissue. And in that interstitial tissue, we used to find the presence of blood vessels, and even there are the interstitial cells are there. Those interstitial cells are well studied by the scientist called as an Leydig. Hence now we started to know by his name as a Leydig cells. Means here inside it, in the interstitial tissue, interstitial cells are there. Those are called as an Leydig cells. And students, you must remember that Leydig cells are the one who are secreting different androgens. And these androgens are plays very, very important role in the process of spermatogenesis, right? Outside the seminiferous tubule, in the interstitial tissue, we have seen there is a presence of interstitial cells, or they are even called as Leydig cells. In addition to that, we used to find the presence of immunologically competent cells. What does it mean by the immunologically competent cells? these are the cell students. They are giving protection from all type of pathogens. Suppose any pathogen is reached even inside the testis, that is going to be destroyed with the help of these immunocompetent cells. Okay, what point you must have to remember then? Inside the seminiferous tubule, we used to find two different types of the cells. One is a male germ cells and other one is Sertoli cell. Outside the seminiferous tubule, in the interstitial tissue, we used to find the presence of interstitial cells, or they are even called as an Leydig cells. In addition to that, there is a immunologically competent cells are there. And sometimes they may ask you the question, name the cells which are secreting the androgen. The answer must be Leydig. They are secreting the androgens. And whatever these androgens are there, out of this, testosterone is the one which plays a very, very important role, and it is a cheap androgen, means the important androgen it is, and that testosterone is even helping in development of all secondary sexual characteristics also in male. Yeah. Now we will understand regarding even certain accessory ducts also in this class. Yeah, whatever the male reproductive system is there, even it have the different type of accessory ducts. What are all the accessory ducts are there, students? Rete testis, vas efferentia, epididymis, and vas differentia. Even there is a urethra. All that even parts are there. We will understand where these all the parts are located in the male reproductive system. Whatever the seminiferous tubules are there, students, they are present inside the testicular lobules. They are highly coiled structure, and inside them only the sperms are going to produce then. Yeah, and after once the sperms are produced, those sperms are started to move through the next network of tubular structure. That network of tubular structure is called as an rete testis, and after the rete testis, vas efferentia. Yeah, here what the sentence says: the seminiferous tubules of the testis opens into the vas efferentia through rete testis. Means first seminiferous tubules are there, then the rete testis is there, then vas efferentias are there. Yeah, and whatever these vas efferentias are there, they are going to leave the testis. Yeah, they may ask you the question, name the ducts which are leave the testis. Yeah, they are the one means vas efferentia are the one who are leave the testis. Then after once they leave the testis, even you might be observing here the movement of arrow also. So now the sperms from the seminiferous tubules, they are reached up to the epididymis through the rete testis and then vas efferentia, and whenever they reach to the epididymis, students, here only their physical maturation is going to occur. What I mean, students, actually the sperms are going to get produced inside the seminiferous tubules, but where they are not going to get mature. The maturation occurs inside the epididymis, and you must remember here, epididymis is the one which begins at the posterior part at the head of the region, and then it moved down first, and after that it is ascending then, in the form of vas differentia. Yeah, we will understand here. You can see here, vas efferentia is leads into the epididymis. Students, even you must remember that epididymis is divided into the three parts: caput, corpus, and cauda. Caput is the head epididymis, corpus is the middle epididymis, cauda is the tail epididymis. And then the epididymis is going to continue into the vas deferens. It is a very long tube and it is ascending towards the abdominal cavity and have a loop over on urinary bladder. Even it is all clearly written here, vas deferens that ascends into the abdomen and loops over on the urinary bladder. Yeah, and it receives, yes, here this is the vas deferens, students, and once the vas deferens is looped over on the urinary bladder, then it is going to receive the duct of seminal vesicles. You're probably observing here the seminal vesicles. Seminal vesicle duct and the vas efferentia are going to join together and they are going to form the ejaculatory duct. You might be observing here the ejaculatory duct, and then there are two ejaculatory ducts are there. Means the one right ejaculatory duct, left ejaculatory duct. So both those ejaculatory ducts are going to join to the urethra, and then the urethra is going to the one which is going to pass through the penis and going to get open outside at the tip of the penis, the urethral mattis. Okay, last opening is called as urethral mattis, students. And even you can observe here the arrow means this is what the way how the sperms are moving. But one thing you must have to remember, students, in case of the male particularly, whatever the urethra is there, it is actually the part which is meant for transport of urine at the time of urine passing. Yeah, but in case of human male, through urethra, even the semen is also passed at the time of coitus activities. Hence what we used to consider the urethra as urinogenital tract. Means urino means urinary system related, genital means reproductive system related part. So it is the common part for in case of the male. But in case of the female, if you consider the human female only, in case of the human female, urethra is separately opening and vagina is separately opening. That's what the point you must have to remember, students. So and even you must have to remember this proper sequence: seminiferous tubules, then rete testis, vas effurensia, epididymis, vas deferens, ejaculatory duct, urethra, and the urethral mattis. We are going to understand regarding accessory glands as well as the external male genitalia. So both those things we will understand in the next class. Some other important NEET questions are also appearing. So you can even try to answer all of those questions. Yeah, and write your comments in the description box. I hope this video has become useful for you to understand this particular small portion of NCERT book. And tomorrow morning again you are going to get one more video related to the next remaining part of male reproductive system. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you once again, students.